Greetings! This is Griff Ruby, the Nostalgia Catholic, with yet another Isaac Asimov short story review. In this case, it is a real short story. And although this cover pertains to another story, apparently the one listed here, the shock story by E.C. Tubb, or maybe The Surgeon's Knife by Randall Garrett, but also Wilson Tucker, Isaac Asimov, Dean Grinnell. So Isaac Asimov's name at least is on the cover. Now, we hear from on the table of contents his name. Okay, and the title of the story is The Immortal Bard. And The Immortal Bard is included as a short story, real short, I should add, that goes into Earth is Room Enough. Okay. So let's take a look at this short story. It has no word, but it is a page here. 97. Okay, page 97. The Immortal Bard. Now let's take a look at this little bit of artwork. There's the first page. Let's see if I can get this without poor tired old zine is ready to fall apart at the moment. Notice a lot worse off than it looks. Okay, The Immortal Bard by Isaac Asimov. And you see, kind of like people at a social party, because it's mostly just a discussion of people among who are kind of at a party. But you see here, the guy, he is, this is what I mean. He is Dr. Phineas Welch, who has invented a process by which he can yank a person, say a historical person, out of the past and bring him not only spiritually but even bodily into the present, and then send him back. Okay, and he is talking to a Scott Robertson, who is the school's young English instructor, who you see on the right here. There. And between them, it's almost like a ghost, but he's not really a ghost. He was corporeally brought to the present of Shakespeare, William Shakespeare. The idea was that he brought a number of different people. Let's see, is there a blurb? No, there really isn't. Well, a story that short is almost as short as some blurbs I've seen. So, anyway, he's brought a number. He brought Archimedes, Newton, Galileo to the present. They were kind of stiff-minded, couldn't figure stuff out, just wanted to go home. Okay. And then he tries bringing Shakespeare. It kind of builds up to a joke. He brought Shakespeare to the present, and Shakespeare was rather amazed and perhaps interested to hear that his plays are still discussed in English classes as the greatest English classics, plays that are still put on to this day, hundreds of years later. I mean, imagine being able to find that something you wrote, is centuries later still a big thing. I mean, how many people have that happen? I mean, yeah, you could go further than that. I mean, think of like Plato's dialogues. I mean, did Plato ever realize that 2,500 years or so in the future, his dialogues, well, they didn't have printing technology, would still be reasonably available in book form still, and people studying them, taking classes on them, at least if they major in philosophy and so forth. So, would you have imagined or expected such a thing? St. Thomas Aquinas builds all his stuff. Did he know that was going to last? And last, and last, and last? The Summa Theologica and some of his other works, That must really be something. So Shakespeare's been dragged up to the present, which in this case would be about the time of the magazine, which is May 1954. And turns out that when Shakespeare was here, he had actually been enrolled under a false name in one of Scott Robertson's classes about Shakespeare. But Dr. Wells considered that a mistake. Well, I'll just say it because it's kind of not a big deal. If you don't mind me sharing a spoiler, if you do, well, I think I've said what there's to say. I did not discern any textual differences between this and the one in Earth is Room Enough. And like I said, it's a couple, 2-3 pages short story, very short. And it really just builds up to a punchline. And in anticipation for anybody who doesn't want to be spoiled, I'll say here, thanks for listening. And if you could just jump to the next. The spoiler is Shakespeare flunked his own class about him and his writings. And that's why bringing it to the present was a failure. So, there you are. There you have it. Again, thanks for listening. With Ruby, Nostalgia,